Did you know that in 2026, food inflation has made a typical grocery basket at many major supermarkets up to 39% more expensive than at Costco? But simply walking into Costco doesn't automatically mean you're saving money if you're still shopping on impulse. In reality, just by choosing a few strategic items, you could cut thousands of dollars from your yearly grocery bill while still eating as healthy as if you had a personal nutritionist guiding you. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Kirkland's Signature Organic Greek Yogurt. Kirkland's Signature Organic Greek Yogurt stands out as one of the most noteworthy picks at Costco. It may not be the trendiest or flashiest item, but it's a foundational nutritional powerhouse that many families are overlooking. Amid skyrocketing food prices, this is one of the few products that carries genuine USDA organic certification while still offering a highly competitive price per ounce compared to many non-organic brands at big chain supermarkets. A 48-ounce tub at Costco typically ranges from about $6.89, which works out to roughly 12 to 15 cents per ounce. In plain terms, you're paying a fair price for truly organic quality, not just a marketing label slapped on for show. Best of all, it's an excellent source of high-quality protein. The protein in Greek yogurt supports muscle maintenance, boosts metabolism, and keeps you feeling fuller longer than regular yogurt. Nutrition experts frequently recommend high-protein foods like this to help preserve lean muscle mass and manage weight. When breakfast includes solid protein, you're much less likely to crave sweets mid-morning. Consumer Reports has also given this line high marks for quality in past evaluations, adding extra credibility. However, one key tip: always go for the plain, unsweetened, unflavored version. Many Greek yogurts on the market sneak in quite a bit of added sugar, which cancels out the original benefits. Simply top it with frozen berries or a drizzle of honey, and you've got a high-protein, low-sugar breakfast that's still delicious. In short, this isn't just a healthy food. It's a smart, long-term way to build economical, nutritious meal plans for the whole family. 2. Kirkland Signature Sous Vide Egg Bites. If you've ever stopped by Starbucks in the morning, you're probably familiar with their soft, creamy, convenient sous vide egg bites. The problem is the price. A serving of just 2 egg bites can cost around $5.45. If you keep that habit a few times a week, the total at the end of the month is far from small. But right at Costco, you can find a Starbucks dupe: Kirkland Signature Sous Vide Egg Bites. What's surprising is that many customers on social media have tested both side by side and confirmed that the flavor is nearly indistinguishable. The texture remains soft, moist, and lightly rich, exactly what you expect from sous vide. Each bite is smooth and flavorful, not dry or crumbly like many other frozen products. That's why many people, after trying them once... Did you know that in 2026, food inflation has made a typical grocery basket at many major supermarkets up to 39% more expensive than at Costco? But simply walking into Costco doesn't automatically mean you're saving money if you're still shopping on impulse. In reality, just by choosing a few strategic items, you could cut thousands of dollars from your yearly grocery bill while still eating as healthy as if you had a personal nutritionist guiding you. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Kirkland's Signature Organic Greek Yogurt. Kirkland's Signature Organic Greek Yogurt stands out as one of the most noteworthy picks at Costco. It may not be the trendiest or flashiest item, but it's a foundational nutritional powerhouse that many families are overlooking. Amid skyrocketing food prices, this is one of the few products that carries genuine USDA organic certification while still offering a highly competitive price per ounce compared to many non-organic brands at big chain supermarkets. A 48-ounce tub at Costco typically ranges from about $6.89, which works out to roughly 12 to 15 cents per ounce. In plain terms, you're paying a fair price for truly organic quality, not just a marketing label slapped on for show. Best of all, it's an excellent source of high-quality protein. The protein in Greek yogurt supports muscle maintenance, boosts metabolism, and keeps you feeling fuller longer than regular yogurt. Nutrition experts frequently recommend high-protein foods like this to help preserve lean muscle mass and manage weight. When breakfast includes solid protein, you're much less likely to crave sweets mid-morning. Consumer Reports has also given this line high marks for quality in past evaluations, adding extra credibility. However, one key tip: always go for the plain, unsweetened, unflavored version. Many Greek yogurts on the market sneak in quite a bit of added sugar, which cancels out the original benefits. Simply top it with frozen berries or a drizzle of honey, and you've got a high-protein, low-sugar breakfast that's still delicious. In short, this isn't just a healthy food. It's a smart, long-term way to build economical, nutritious meal plans for the whole family. 2. Kirkland Signature Sous Vide Egg Bites. If you've ever stopped by Starbucks in the morning, you're probably familiar with their soft, creamy, convenient sous vide egg bites. The problem is the price. A serving of just 2 egg bites can cost around $5.45. If you keep that habit a few times a week, the total at the end of the month is far from small. But right at Costco, you can find a Starbucks dupe: Kirkland Signature Sous Vide Egg Bites. What's surprising is that many customers on social media have tested both side by side and confirmed that the flavor is nearly indistinguishable. The texture remains soft, moist, and lightly rich, exactly what you expect from sous vide. Each bite is smooth and flavorful, not dry or crumbly like many other frozen products. That's why many people, after trying them once, switch to buying them at Costco instead of stopping at a cafe every morning. Or at Costco, a 10-count package typically ranges from $11.99 to $14.52. That breaks down to about $2.40 to $2.90 per 2-egg serving, more than 40% cheaper than the Starbucks version. But the savings aren't the only advantage. Each serving provides about 17 grams of protein, which is a substantial amount for breakfast. Protein helps maintain steady energy levels, reduces early hunger, and supports muscle maintenance. At a time when many people are trying to increase their protein intake without complicated meal prep, this is a practical solution. However, one important note: while high in protein, this is still a processed food. It's best viewed as a smart option for busy mornings rather than something to rely on exclusively. Pairing it with greens or fruit will help create a more balanced meal. If you're looking for a quick, protein-rich breakfast that significantly cuts costs compared to buying out, Kirkland's Sous Vide Egg Bites are both a sensible and practical choice in 2026. 3. Dave's Killer Bread 21 Whole Grains. This is a product many American families recognize, but not everyone fully understands the value behind Dave's Killer Bread 21 Whole Grains. Among dozens of soft, fluffy white breads on the shelf, Dave's stands out with its blend of 21 whole grains and seeds. This isn't just for marketing appeal. Whole grains provide significantly more fiber and protein than standard white bread, helping you stay full longer and supporting digestive health. When your morning starts with a slice rich in fiber and protein, you're less likely to experience an energy crash before lunch. At regular grocery stores, one loaf of Dave's Killer Bread typically ranges from $6 to $7. At Costco, you pay about $8.69 for 2 loaves, almost like a true buy one get one deal. If your family eats bread regularly, that price difference adds up meaningfully each month. This is the kind of quiet savings that delivers long-term impact. Dave's Killer Bread is also known for its Second Chance Employment Program, which provides job opportunities for individuals with prior convictions to help them reintegrate into society. That doesn't change the nutritional profile, but it does make many shoppers feel their purchase carries additional meaning. Of course, it's still important to read labels carefully. Not every product labeled whole grain has the same nutritional structure. Dave's 21 Whole Grains uses genuine whole grains, not simply brown-colored bread for appearance. If you're choosing just one bread for the week, this option offers solid nutrition, reasonable cost, and enough versatility for sandwiches, toast, or pairing with dinner. 4. Brami Lupini Protein Pasta. Representing this year's nutrition trend is Brami Lupini Protein Pasta. A few years ago, people were mainly focused on low-carb. Now, the key focus has shifted to high-protein and gut-friendly fiber. That's exactly why Brami Lupini Pasta has become a name frequently mentioned by many nutrition experts. Each 3.5-ounce serving provides up to 21 grams of protein and 9 grams of fiber. To put that into perspective, the fiber content is nearly 3 times that of traditional pasta made from refined wheat flour. Protein helps maintain muscle mass and promotes longer-lasting fullness, while fiber plays a critical role in supporting a healthy gut microbiome. This is why many nutrition professionals are encouraging people to switch from refined pasta to higher protein, higher fiber alternatives. The main ingredient is lupini beans, a Mediterranean legume naturally rich in protein. Unlike some bean-based pastas that can feel crumbly or have a strong bean flavor, Brami maintains a firm texture that's closer to traditional pasta. Many families have shared that their kids eat it with tomato sauce or meatballs without noticing a significant difference. In terms of cost, when purchased in a bundle at Costco, the price per box often drops below $3. Compared to many high-protein pasta products sold at specialty health food stores, this price point is much more accessible. It's a clear example that you can follow modern nutrition trends without paying a premium. Of course, the nutritional benefits only truly shine when it's prepared thoughtfully. If paired with sugary sauces or excessive amounts of heavy cheese, the protein and fiber advantages can easily be overshadowed. When combined with vegetables and lean protein sources, it becomes a modern, well-balanced dinner option. At a time when American consumers are prioritizing protein intake and gut health more than ever, Brami lupini pasta is not just a trend-driven product. It represents a practical shift away from refined carbohydrates toward more nutrient-dense foods, while still preserving the familiar taste and texture of traditional pasta. Like the video, if this surprised you. 5. The only bean crunchy roasted edamame. If you look closely, most monthly budget creep doesn't come from main meals. It comes from midday snacking. In the snack aisle at Costco, the only bean crunchy roasted edamame stands out in a surprisingly smart way. Many snacks on the market are labeled healthy, but when you turn the package over, the added sugar and refined carbs are often much higher than expected. The only bean takes a different approach. Each serving provides about 14 grams of plant-based protein, along with natural fiber from whole edamame beans. That means you're not just snacking, you're actually adding meaningful protein that helps you stay full longer and reduces the urge to reach for another bag shortly after. The ingredient list is simple and easy to understand: edamame, avocado oil, and sea salt. No long list of additives, no artificial colors, and no complicated flavorings. The use of avocado oil is another plus, as it's a more stable fat compared to many refined oils commonly found in processed snacks. A large bag at Costco costs around $8.89. When you calculate the amount of protein you're getting, this price is significantly more reasonable than many individually packaged protein snacks sold elsewhere. For families with kids or anyone who frequently needs a quick snack, this is a practical way to control both ingredients and spending. Of course, this is still a salted roasted snack, so portion control matters. But if you're looking to upgrade your snacking habits in a smarter direction, choosing something high in protein with a transparent ingredient list is a far better option than traditional refined carb snack bags. 6. Kevin's Natural Foods Steak. One of the most talked about items at Costco recently is Kevin's Natural Foods Steak. This isn't the kind of heavily marinated meat that hides the quality of the ingredients behind bold seasoning. Kevin's uses grass-fed sirloin beef that is raised without antibiotics and contains no soy. For those who follow paleo guidelines or prioritize clean eating, these standards matter. Grass-fed isn't just a marketing phrase. Naturally raised beef often has a different nutritional profile, particularly in terms of fat composition and omega-3 levels compared to conventionally raised cattle. Instead of relying on corn syrup or refined sugar in the sauce, Kevin's uses coconut sugar and keeps the ingredient list relatively simple and easy to read. At a time when many ready-to-heat meals on the market contain long lists of additives, a transparent label is one of the reasons many nutrition professionals view this brand favorably. At Costco, a 32-ounce package is priced around $19.67. Compared to smaller retail packages sold at regular supermarkets for nearly the same price, this creates a clear cost advantage when calculated per pound. In other words, you're buying in bulk while still maintaining cleaner ingredient standards and achieving meaningful savings. Of course, it's important to stay realistic. This is still a prepared food, so it can't fully replace meals cooked from scratch. However, on busy days, just a few minutes of reheating gives you a high-quality beef option ready for dinner. In 2026, as American consumers look to save time without compromising ingredient quality, Kevin's Natural Foods represents a different approach, not chasing the lowest possible price, but focusing on better sourcing and ingredient transparency. 7. Trident Seafoods Alaska Salmon Burgers. If you're looking for a dinner option that's both convenient and nutrient-dense, Trident Seafoods Alaska Salmon Burgers are hard to ignore. The salmon is wild-caught from Alaska, not farm-raised. That matters because wild salmon typically has a stronger nutritional profile, especially when it comes to omega-3 fatty acids. With about 20 grams of protein per serving, this isn't just a substitute for a beef burger. It's a reliable source of clean protein. Just as important, this product contains no starchy fillers. Many seafood burgers on the market include breadcrumbs or starches to cut production costs. Here, the ingredients focus on real salmon, which helps maintain a firmer texture and a more distinct salmon flavor. Convenience is another major advantage. These burgers can be cooked directly from frozen in about 10 to 12 minutes, with no need to thaw beforehand. You can pair them with a salad, place them on whole grain buns, or serve them alongside roasted vegetables without spending much time on preparation. Buying the larger box at Costco significantly lowers the cost per burger compared to purchasing fresh salmon by the pound at many supermarkets. When you factor in the protein and omega-3 content, this becomes a practical investment in heart health and immune support. Of course, preparation still determines the overall quality of the meal. Deep frying or loading it with sugary sauces will reduce the nutritional benefits. But when kept simple, this product checks all three boxes: clear sourcing, clean ingredients, and strong nutritional value. 8. Roli Roti Organic Chicken Bone Broth. If there's one product that sounds simple but has earned strong praise from nutrition experts in recent years, it's Roli Roti Organic Chicken Bone Broth. Bone broth isn't a new trend, but in 2026, it has made a strong comeback for one clear reason. Consumers are paying closer attention to protein intake, natural collagen, and gut health. And Roli Roti is not just regular chicken broth. It's USDA organic certified bone broth made from real chicken bones, not a concentrate diluted with water. Each serving provides a meaningful amount of protein, primarily from naturally occurring collagen found in bones. Collagen is associated with joint health, skin health, and connective tissue support. That's why many experts, along with those who follow paleo or whole food style diets, view bone broth as a nutritional addition rather than just a base for soup. Another key point is the relatively short, easy-to-read ingredient list. There are no artificial flavors and no hidden MSG under alternative names. When you turn the package over, you can clearly understand what you're consuming. In a market filled with thin broth products that contain very little protein, finding a true bone broth is not always easy. You'll save more by purchasing it at Costco, where it's typically sold in bundles for around $10. In contrast, buying a single bottle at chains like Whole Foods can cost close to $9. At a time when many products labeled broth are essentially diluted stock, finding an option at Costco that maintains rich flavor, real nutritional structure, and a reasonable price point is worth noting. 9. Fishwife tuna in spicy olive oil. A few years ago, canned tuna was seen primarily as a budget food. But in 2026, it has taken on an entirely different status. Fishwife tuna in spicy olive oil is one of the clearest examples of that shift. Fishwife does not follow the path of mass-produced, low-cost tuna. Instead, the brand focuses on high-quality seafood, hand-packed preparation, and real olive oil rather than inexpensive vegetable oils. The spicy olive oil version adds depth of flavor, making it flavorful enough to enjoy straight from the can with toasted bread, or tossed into a salad without much additional seasoning. The ingredient profile is where this product truly stands out. Tuna is a clean source of protein, rich in omega-3 fatty acids that support heart and brain health. When preserved in olive oil instead of soybean or canola oil, the nutritional structure remains more stable. It may seem like a small detail, but it matters if you're paying attention to the types of fats you consume. In terms of cost, what's interesting is that at Costco, a 3-pack typically ranges from $13.99 to $15. On the brand's website, however, the price for a similar quantity can exceed $30. That difference makes a premium product far more accessible. Instead of being limited to specialty stores, it's now available right in the Costco warehouse. Of course, the mild heat in this version has sparked debate on Reddit. Some people enjoy the pronounced spice, while others find it slightly strong. But that distinctive flavor is also what gives the product personality, setting it apart from many bland canned tuna options on the market. 10. Kirkland's signature organic frozen berries. At first glance, this product may seem familiar, even basic. But in 2026, Kirkland's signature organic frozen berries are truly one of the real secret weapons in your shopping cart. With fresh fruit prices fluctuating heavily by season, especially berries like blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries, the price difference between regular supermarkets and Costco can surprise many shoppers. When calculated per ounce, organic frozen berries at Costco can save you more than 60% compared to buying smaller packages at chains like Kroger or Vons. And this product carries a clear USDA organic certification, not just a vague, natural label for marketing. What's interesting is that frozen fruit is not nutritionally inferior, despite common misconceptions. The rapid freezing process shortly after harvest helps preserve vitamins and antioxidants more effectively than fresh fruit that may sit on shelves for days. This is particularly important for berries rich in anthocyanins and vitamin C, where proper preservation helps maintain stable nutritional value. Berries are a natural source of fiber and powerful antioxidants. When added to Greek yogurt, smoothies, or morning oatmeal, they boost nutritional quality without relying on sugary syrups or processed toppings. It's a simple yet effective way to elevate your meals. Buying the larger bag at Costco significantly lowers the cost per serving, while also reducing food waste. There's no more buying a container of fresh strawberries only to throw half away because they molded within days. Shopping at Costco in 2026 isn't just about buying in bulk to save money. The real key is choosing the right products that deliver tangible value. When your cart is built on nutrition and data rather than impulse, your grocery bill goes down while the quality of your meals goes up. That's what smart, long-term savings for your family truly looks like. Among the expert-recommended items, which one surprised you the most? Some changes at Costco do not happen loudly, yet longtime members notice them almost the moment they push their carts into the warehouse. The membership card now costs more, while familiar items that once seemed permanent are quietly disappearing from the shelves one by one. In 2026, Costco is going through what may be the biggest product reset of the decade. Many items that used to appear every week are being replaced with more expensive versions or removed from warehouses for good. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Kirkland Signature Sport Drink. There is one empty space at Costco that many longtime members noticed almost immediately. The 24-bottle case of Kirkland Signature Sport Drink has completely disappeared from many warehouses since late 2025. This used to be a very familiar choice for families who wanted to buy in bulk while keeping their budget under control, because with 24 bottles at 20 ounces each, shoppers already had enough drinks ready for the entire week. What helped this product maintain a loyal customer base was not just that it cost less than major brands like Gatorade and Body Armor, but also that it used cane sugar instead of high-fructose corn syrup. The three flavors, orange, blue raspberry, and fruit punch, used to show up regularly in many shopping carts, especially during hot weather. But behind the decision to stop selling it is a calculation. Costco appears to be making very careful decisions. Bottled drinks are one of the most expensive categories to ship because of their weight. They take up significant pallet space, and profit margins are not wide enough to justify that burden. Beyond cost, flavor was also a point of division. Across many shopping forums, some people described it as the best value in the sports drink category, while others said the aftertaste was not clean enough, became tiring quickly, and lacked the fresh feel offered by bigger brands. One theory being discussed quite often is that this line may return in smaller bottles, with fewer units per case, or in redesigned packaging to save shelf space. For now, the most visible alternatives are the mixed variety packs from Body Armor and Gatorade, which continue to take up most of the shelf space. Body Armor is often chosen for its stronger fruit flavor and added coconut water, while Gatorade keeps its advantage through familiarity with 20 to 28 bottle packs that work well for large families or outdoor sports use. 2. Kirkland Signature Ground Sirloin and Loin Beef Patties. Right after the peak summer grilling season, many regular Costco shoppers began noticing a clear change in the frozen section. The boxes of lean beef patties that used to disappear quickly before weekend barbecues were no longer showing up as consistently as before. For many American households, this had long been one of those default items that always belonged in the freezer. What made this product line hold such a loyal customer base was that it felt convenient while still giving people a sense of quality control. The 85% lean sirloin version meant only about 15% fat, enough to keep the patties juicy on the grill, but not so much that grease poured onto the grates like with many standard burger options. Another advantage that made these patties popular was that they could go straight onto the grill from frozen while still holding their shape surprisingly well. That is exactly why, after last year's Independence Day holiday, when the product began disappearing from many warehouses, it triggered a noticeable wave of disappointment across shopping groups. The reason behind it is not necessarily slow sales, but mainly the pressure from rising beef prices in the United States. Recently, lean beef costs have climbed more sharply than higher fat beef, forcing Costco to reevaluate which frozen burger products can maintain stronger profit margins. High lean SKUs always look attractive from a nutrition standpoint, but they are harder to keep competitively priced when sold in bulk packaging. Still, if you do not see that familiar sirloin box on your next Costco trip, there are alternatives good enough to keep a weekend cookout from feeling incomplete. The slightly fattier 80/20 options remain easy to find. And if you want a cleaner beef flavor, the grass-fed burger packs are still worth considering, although they come in smaller quantities and the price per box is noticeably higher. 3. King Arthur 00 Pizza Flour. For serious home bakers, King Arthur's 00 flour has long been considered the gold standard for creating a Neapolitan-style pizza crust that turns crisp on the outside while staying soft and elastic inside. However, starting in mid-2025, this product began disappearing from Costco warehouses. What made its absence especially noticeable is that this was never an impulse buy product for the average shopper. It had a very loyal customer base. For anyone who has made Neapolitan-style pizza at home, this flour was one of the most accessible options for achieving the right dough texture, ultra-fine milling, stable protein content, and a crust that baked with a crisp exterior while remaining tender and chewy inside. Unlike regular all-purpose flour, 00 flour gives the dough a much lighter handling feel, especially when used with high-heat ovens or a pizza stone. Beginning in mid-2025, Costco gradually reduced the number of warehouses carrying it, and by early 2026, most locations had shifted back to smaller bags of all-purpose flour or bread flour instead. The reason is fairly clear in the way Costco manages its product lineup. Specialty items that move more slowly than mainstream staples have a hard time keeping long-term shelf space. Even a highly rated pizza flour SKU cannot rotate as quickly as standard flour. Still, if you want to keep homemade pizza quality at a consistently high level, King Arthur Baking Company bread flour is currently the most worthwhile replacement when you find it at a good price, since its structure comes fairly close to the original baking experience. 4. Croissant platters. One quiet change that many people only truly noticed when they needed food for a gathering is that the croissant sandwich platter in Costco's deli section is no longer showing up the way it used to. This had long been a familiar option for home birthdays, office meetings, and weekend parties when people wanted something ready to serve without extra preparation. What made this platter a dependable choice for many American families was how well it matched a real practical need. 20 ready-made sandwich portions built on soft croissants, filled with 3 familiar varieties: chicken salad, ham, and roast beef, served with pesto and Dijon mayo, making it easy for almost everyone to find something they liked. You could simply bring it home, open the lid, place it on the table, and one of the most popular party items would already be taken care of. Unlike some other platters that may look appealing but become heavy after a few bites, the croissant platter stayed easy to enjoy because the bread was soft, the fillings were not too rich, and it worked well for both adults and children. However, starting in late 2025, many warehouses began removing this option entirely from the deli order menu. What stands out is that Costco did not make any major announcement, but regular customers who used to pre-order it noticed immediately because the platter selection changed quite noticeably. That shelf space is now being replaced by higher value trays, especially sprouted grain sandwich platters at a clearly higher price point. If the croissant platter was once considered the easiest party option because it was reasonably priced and widely liked, shoppers now have to accept a new reality. Costco is moving toward platters that look more modern, cost more, and deliver stronger margins. If you are still planning food for a larger gathering, the newer sandwich platters are still worth considering because the fillings remain generous and the presentation stays neat, though the bread itself may not please as many people as the old croissant version did. Like the video if this surprised you. 5. Food court smoothies. There is one reality that has become fairly clear at Costco's food court right now. The fruit smoothies that were once seen as the lighter drink option have almost disappeared from ordering counters in many warehouses by 2026. For many longtime Costco shoppers, this used to be the drink people chose as a small break after shopping. The traditional fruit smoothie line, first introduced in 2007, lasted for many years because it became part of regular customer habits. But in recent years, Costco began adjusting the recipe in hopes of refreshing the menu. In early 2025, the strawberry mango smoothie was introduced as a replacement, and it immediately sparked stronger debate than expected. The issue was not the color or the first sip, but the fact that many customers quickly noticed the sweetness tasted very different from the older version. Across shopping forums, many people complained that the added sugar was too obvious. The sweet aftertaste lingered too long, and it lacked the natural fruit feel they expected. A drink once chosen because it felt lighter suddenly began to be viewed as less balanced than many people had assumed. Costco then continued experimenting with other directions, including a banana smoothie and later frozen strawberry lemonade, but neither stayed on the menu for long. Part of the reason is that frozen fruit ingredients and purees make operations more complicated, while customer response was not strong enough to justify keeping them as long-term menu items. By 2026, one thing is easy to notice. The cold drink section has become much simpler. Multi-ingredient smoothies have largely stepped aside, making room for easier-to-manage options such as frozen coffee drinks. 6. Country French bread. Once a staple in Costco's bakery section, the two-loaf package of country French bread has been discontinued and replaced with rustic Italian bread. The change has frustrated many shoppers because the new bread costs nearly $1 more while being sold as only a single loaf, making storage and everyday use less practical for many households. What allowed this bread to keep its place for so many years was exactly how practical it was. 2 loaves in one package felt very much in line with the Costco idea. Enough quantity to feel like a strong value while still being easy to divide into daily use. But now, most warehouses have switched to rustic Italian bread. And this change is more than just a new product name. The first thing many shoppers notice is the price increase of nearly $1, while the quantity has dropped to only 1 loaf. That removes one of the biggest advantages Country French once had: buying once and spreading it across several meals without worrying that the bread would lose quality too quickly. For smaller households, a single large loaf easily reaches the point where the cut surface starts drying out before the bread is fully used. Before, having 2 separate loaves allowed 1 loaf to stay fresh longer for later use. That is why many longtime customers say what they miss is not just the flavor, but the original packaging itself. Still, if you need bread for several days during the week, rustic Italian bread remains a worthwhile option if you slice it early and freeze it in smaller portions. 7. Kirkland Signature Chocolate Chips. If there is one discontinued product that has genuinely left home bakers feeling the loss, it is the bag of Kirkland Signature chocolate chips that had remained a steady presence in Costco's baking aisle for years. For many American households, this was not just a baking ingredient for cookies. It was practically a pantry staple that was always there. What made this line especially popular was how well it matched the Costco formula: large quantity, affordable pricing, and quality strong enough for regular bakers to trust. The semi-sweet version, and especially the 51% cacao variety, had been highly rated because the chocolate flavor was richer than average, not overly sweet, and still held a clear chocolate character after baking instead of melting into a sharp, sugary layer. That is exactly why, when Costco began gradually removing it from shelves, customer reaction appeared quickly. Many shoppers only realized how familiar it had become when they returned to the baking section and saw its old shelf space replaced by something else. This time, the reason was not weak sales, but clear raw material pressure. Global cocoa prices rose by more than 200%, pushing chocolate production costs to a level where even Costco struggled to maintain the signature pricing of the Kirkland line. This is one of the few cases where Costco was almost forced to give space back to national brands because the cost of core ingredients climbed too sharply. At the moment, the most common replacement on shelves is Nestlé Toll House, but many longtime bakers notice the difference from the very first batch. The chocolate tends to taste sweeter and less layered, and especially in recipes that once relied on Kirkland, the flavor no longer provides the same stronger depth needed to balance butter and sugar. As for whether Kirkland may return, that remains a common topic across shopping forums. But with cocoa supplies still heavily affected by climate conditions in major growing regions, 2026 does not yet look like a clear moment to expect an early comeback. 8. Food court churros. The crispy cinnamon sugar pastry that once stood as an icon of Costco's food court has officially been replaced by the double chocolate chunk cookie, priced at $2.49. Although the new cookie has received fairly positive feedback for its flavor, it has not been able to replace the nostalgia or the lower price that churros once represented. What gave churros such a special place was not that they were complicated, but that they perfectly matched the spirit of the food court. Simple, hot, easy to eat, and always affordable enough that ordering one never required much thought. The outside had a light, crisp texture. The inside stayed soft. The cinnamon sugar coated evenly, and most importantly, eating it while still warm made it something both kids and adults could easily agree on. That is why when Costco officially removed churros from the menu and replaced them with the $2.49 double chocolate chunk cookie, the first reaction from many regular customers was not criticism of the new item, but the feeling that something deeply familiar was suddenly missing. What many people still point out is that the cookie delivers a completely different kind of experience. Churros had the advantage of being a lighter handheld snack, less filling, and especially well-suited to the pace of a shopping trip. The new cookie, by contrast, feels more like a full dessert, sweeter, heavier, and noticeably richer. Costco's decision is fairly easy to understand. Cookies have a more consistent baking process, require fewer direct handling steps, and eliminate the need for continuous warming the way churros did. For Costco, that is a practical way to keep the food court running faster and more consistently during peak hours. Still, for many longtime members, what disappeared with churros was not just a menu item but a very specific piece of Costco memory. Something so familiar that simply seeing it on the menu made every trip feel the way it always had before. 9. Combo pizza. There is one item at Costco's food court that, even after being gone for years, people still talk about as if it disappeared only yesterday: combo pizza. And by 2026, what many longtime members are beginning to accept is that the chance of it returning to U.S. warehouses is now extremely small. Every time they stand at the ordering counter, many still glance up at the menu one more time, even though everyone already knows that only the two familiar choices remain: cheese pizza and pepperoni pizza. What left such a large gap is that combo pizza once felt like the most balanced option for a group of people eating together. A hot 18-inch pizza for about $10 came topped with pepperoni, sausage, bell peppers, onions, and mushrooms, meaning almost everyone could find something they liked in the same slice. Unlike today's cheese or pepperoni pizzas, which each lean strongly toward one flavor profile, combo pizza felt more complete, more like a full meal after a long shopping trip. That is why, even though it disappeared in 2020, every year still brings thousands of comments, posts, and long discussions across forums about whether Costco might finally bring it back. In reality, customer reaction has never been small. A petition calling for the return of combo pizza once gathered more than 19,000 signatures, showing that this was never just another pizza. It was a very real part of the Costco experience for many Americans. But Costco has remained consistent. The fewer choices the food court offers, the more stable service becomes, the fewer mistakes happen, and the easier operating costs are to control. That is also why the current menu stays focused on the two highest-selling varieties. During peak hours, limiting production to cheese and pepperoni allows baking, slicing, serving, and restocking to move in nearly perfect rhythm. It is true that some warehouses have recently introduced a square take-and-bake pizza, priced at $16.99. But for many longtime shoppers, it still does not feel the same. 10. Kirkland Signature Organic Soy Beverage. One noticeable change that not everyone caught right away is that Kirkland's Signature Organic Soy Beverage quietly disappeared from shelves in early 2025, and by 2026, there is still no sign of it returning. For many households that have relied on plant-based milk for years, this had been a very dependable option. Reasonably priced, easy to stock up on by the case, and simple enough to use for morning coffee, cereal, smoothies, or everyday cooking. What gave this product its own loyal customer base was that it met the needs of a very specific group: people with lactose intolerance, vegetarians, or simply those who wanted a milk alternative with naturally higher protein than many other plant-based options. But the alternative beverage market in the United States has changed very quickly over the past few years. While soy milk used to be one of the most familiar plant-based choices, the beverage aisle is now divided by products that attract stronger demand, especially almond milk and oat milk. Both categories have grown rapidly because they fit better with coffee habits and cereal use, and especially because they feel more current to younger consumers. That is why soy milk has gradually moved into the slower-selling category within the warehouse model, where every product must maintain strong enough turnover to justify shelf space. For Costco, even a SKU with loyal buyers can be replaced if overall volume is no longer high enough compared with broader demand alternatives. At the moment, Costco has left open the possibility of introducing a soy milk product from another brand in the future. But for now, most regular buyers have had to become more flexible with what is currently available on shelves. If convenience matters most, almond milk remains the easiest option because it is consistently stocked in large quantities. For shoppers who prefer more richness in coffee or cereal, oat milk has become the most commonly chosen option. What many people may realize after these changes is that Costco has always moved faster than customer habits. A product does not disappear only because it sells slowly, but because shopping patterns, cost pressures, and consumer priorities keep shifting year after year. Sometimes, seeing an item you still like on the shelf today is exactly the moment to consider taking it home, before the next visit turns that space into another familiar empty spot. Which discontinued product do you miss the most? Have you ever walked into Costco planning to buy just a few items and somehow ended up pushing a cart full of things? This place always seems to have products that look completely ordinary, yet many professional chefs have quietly been buying them for years. Today we're taking a look at the items that are truly worth the money, the kind of products that, once you see them on the shelf, you almost want to put straight into your cart. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Apple AirPods Pro. One interesting habit of experienced Costco shoppers is that they often stop by the electronics section first, not necessarily to buy a TV or a laptop right away, but because this area occasionally has some very noticeable deals. And recently, one item that many people have been stopping to check out is the Apple AirPods Pro. These are easily among the most convenient wireless earbuds available today. Just open the case, put them in your ears, and your phone connects automatically. The noise-canceling feature helps you stay focused while working, listening to podcasts, or simply enjoying music without being distracted by the surrounding noise. But the reason many people choose to buy them at Costco is simple. The price is often noticeably better than at other electronics stores. Right now, these earbuds are priced at about $179.90. 2. Teak Wood Cutting Board. Moving a little deeper into the kitchen section, there's a product that looks very simple but often surprises people once they pick it up. A large teak wood cutting board. If you've ever used thin plastic boards or lightweight wooden boards from regular supermarkets, just touching this one is enough to understand why it gets so much attention. Teak is a hardwood known for its durability and excellent resistance to moisture. Cutting boards made from this type of wood are typically thick, heavy, and extremely stable when placed on the kitchen counter. 3. KitchenAid Stand Mixer. If you enjoy baking, it's almost impossible not to pause when you see a KitchenAid stand mixer on the shelf. This is one of those iconic kitchen appliances found in many American homes, and the reason is simple. It makes everything much easier. From kneading bread dough and whipping cream to mixing cookie dough or preparing pizza dough, this machine handles nearly everything without requiring you to put in much effort. Costco sometimes offers very attractive prices on KitchenAid mixers, especially when they come bundled with extra attachments or a larger mixing bowl. 4. Snapware food storage containers. After passing the larger appliances, many shoppers eventually stop by the houseware section and notice a set of Snapware food storage containers. It might sound ordinary, but anyone who cooks regularly knows that a good container set can completely change the way you store food every day. What makes Snapware stand out is its secure locking lid. Just press down on the four corners and the container seals tightly, helping prevent food odors from spreading in the refrigerator and keeping food fresh longer. The containers themselves are made from thick glass or durable plastic, so they can safely be used in the microwave, oven, or dishwasher. 5. Whole New York strip. When you walk into the meat section at Costco, many people tend to look only at the pre-cut steaks. But experienced shoppers often pay attention to something else: the whole New York strip. This is a large, uncut piece of beef that hasn't been sliced into individual steaks yet. And that's exactly what helps you save quite a bit of money. Instead of paying for steaks that have already been portioned, you can buy the entire piece and slice it at home to whatever thickness you prefer. With a good knife and just a few minutes of prep, you can turn it into a dozen beautiful steaks ready for grilling, pan-searing, or freezing for later. For families who enjoy steak regularly, this is almost the smartest way to buy beef. At Costco, a whole New York strip usually costs around $9 to $12 per pound, which is noticeably cheaper than buying pre-cut steaks. 6. Whole ribeye. Another item that often makes shoppers pause their carts in the meat department is the whole ribeye, one of the most famous cuts of beef, known for its beautiful marbling. For steak lovers, this is almost the cut they look forward to most on a Costco trip. Just like the New York strip, buying a whole ribeye allows you to cut steaks exactly the way you like them. Some people prefer thick cuts close to 4 centimeters for a steakhouse-style grill, while others slice them thinner for a quick pan sear. The biggest advantage is that you can choose the exact piece with the best marbling right from the start. The price of whole ribeye at Costco is usually around $11 per pound, depending on timing. Compared with pre-cut ribeye steaks at many supermarkets, this price is often far more reasonable. 7. Whole beef tenderloin. Beyond steak cuts, another type of beef many chefs love buying at Costco is the whole beef tenderloin. This is the most tender cut of the cow and is commonly used to make filet mignon, the famous steak often served in restaurants. When you buy the whole tenderloin at Costco, you can slice it into multiple filet mignon portions right at home. Not only does this help you save money, but it also allows you to control the thickness of each steak. One large tenderloin can easily turn into several elegant dinners with just a few minutes of preparation. The price of beef tenderloin at Costco is usually around $17 per pound. But compared with buying pre-cut filet mignon at restaurants or upscale grocery stores, this price is still much more affordable. 8. Beef tenderloin. There's a large cut of meat at Costco that many shoppers walk right past, but chefs almost always stop to take a closer look. It's the whole beef tenderloin. This is the most tender cut of the cow, the same cut that restaurants slice into small filet mignon steaks and sell at prices that can seriously hurt your wallet. But at Costco, you can buy the entire piece, and that's when the fun really begins. With just a few simple cuts of a knife, this single piece of meat can turn into several perfect steaks for the week. One quick pan-seared steak for dinner, one for a weekend grill, and the rest can be frozen for later. 9. Beef ribs. Just looking at those thick ribs with meat wrapped around the bones is enough to make many people start imagining the smell of barbecue. Beef ribs are the kind of dish that gets better the slower you cook them. When they sit on a grill or smoker for a while, the fat slowly melts and seeps into every strand of meat. The result is ribs that are tender, deeply flavorful, and almost fall off the bone with just a gentle pull. This is also a perfect dish for gatherings. A large tray of beef ribs placed in the center of the table with a little BBQ sauce or just simple salt and pepper is enough to make the whole meal feel lively. And if you've ever cooked beef ribs successfully once, chances are that every time you visit Costco afterward, you'll find yourself drifting back to this section just to take a look. 10. Lamb racks. Among all the meats at Costco, there's one that surprises many people the first time they try it: lamb racks. These compact racks may look simple, but when grilled, they release an incredibly distinctive aroma. Lamb doesn't need many seasonings. A little salt, pepper, and perhaps some rosemary or garlic is usually enough. When grilled quickly over high heat, the outside turns lightly golden while the inside stays tender and juicy. Each slice is rich and flavorful. What's interesting is that this dish often appears in upscale restaurants, but at Costco, you can easily bring home an entire rack and cook it yourself. Like the video if this surprised you. 11. Cross-cut short ribs. If you walk past the Costco meat section and see trays of beef short ribs cut across the bone, with 3 small bone pieces neatly sitting in each slice of meat, you're probably looking at one of the most interesting cuts sold there. This style of cut is commonly used in Korean barbecue dishes like kalbi. And the reason is simple: it cooks incredibly fast and delivers deep flavor. The thin slices allow marinades to soak in much more quickly. Just a little soy sauce, garlic, brown sugar, and black pepper is enough before placing them on the grill. Once they hit high heat, the marbled fat begins to melt, creating an aroma that instantly brings the whole kitchen to life. 12. Beef brisket. Another large cut of meat that often makes shoppers pause in the meat section is whole beef brisket. For many people, this cut is best known for Texas-style barbecue, but there's another use that many chefs actually love: grinding it for burgers. Brisket has a nicely balanced ratio of meat to fat. When ground, that fat helps keep the burger juicy and tender after grilling instead of drying out. Simply cut the brisket into smaller chunks, run it through a meat grinder, and you have fresh burger meat made completely at home. What many people appreciate about this method is the control over quality. No additives, no pre-mixed meat, just fresh beef in its purest form. 13. Chilean sea bass. After leaving the meat section, many shoppers head over to the seafood counter. And if there's one fish that often makes people stop and take a closer look, it's Chilean sea bass. Among chefs, this fish is sometimes playfully called the steak of the ocean because its flesh is thick, white, and remarkably firm. What makes Chilean sea bass special is its natural richness. When pan-seared, the skin becomes lightly crisp while the inside stays tender and almost melts in your mouth. A little salt, pepper, and a squeeze of lemon are usually all it takes to bring out its flavor. No complicated seasoning is necessary. The fish itself already tastes incredible. 14. Dungeness crab. Dungeness crab is a famous crab from the west coast of the United States and usually appears seasonally at Costco. So whenever it shows up in the seafood case, many shoppers quickly add a tray to their carts. Dungeness crab is known for its sweet, firm meat. When steamed, the white meat inside becomes even more fragrant and flavorful. Just a little melted butter or a few drops of lemon is enough to fully enjoy the crab's natural sweetness. 15. Frozen black cod. One reason many shoppers pay attention to the frozen black cod at Costco is its convenient packaging. Each fillet is usually vacuum-sealed individually, which helps preserve the fish for a long time while maintaining its quality. This fish is also well known for its rich, buttery texture and high value in many restaurants. Anyone who has tried black cod at Japanese restaurants will immediately recognize its distinctive flavor. 16. Sugar bomb tomatoes. In the produce section at Costco, there's one type of tomato that many shoppers immediately add to their cart the moment they see the name: sugar bomb. The name alone is a good hint. These are small tomatoes with an intensely sweet flavor that almost bursts when you bite into them. They're nothing like the bland tomatoes often found in supermarkets. Instead, they have a bright, distinct taste that is both sweet and aromatic. These little tomatoes are incredibly convenient. You can rinse them and eat them straight as a quick snack, slice them in half for a salad, or simply pair them with cheese and bread. When making pasta or bruschetta, adding just a few sugar bomb tomatoes instantly brings freshness and natural sweetness to the dish. 17. Taki mushrooms. Taki mushrooms are one of those items that don't appear at Costco all the time, which is exactly why people tend to notice them right away whenever they do show up on the shelves. This mushroom stands out for its long stems, firm texture, and distinctive aroma. Because it's relatively rare, Many people who enjoy cooking often take the opportunity to grab some whenever Costco brings them in. 18. Ataulfo mangoes, small yellow mangoes. If you've walked past the fruit section at Costco and seen trays of small yellow mangoes, they are very likely Ataulfo mangoes. This variety is small but extremely well known for its sweetness and creamy, smooth flesh. Unlike many larger mango varieties that can be fibrous, Ataulfo mangoes have soft, smooth flesh with very little fiber. When ripe, you can simply slice along the pit, score the flesh with a few light cuts, and turn it outward to eat right away. The rich sweetness, with a slight hint of tartness, often makes people reach for another piece after just one bite. 19. Organic blueberries. Organic blueberries at Costco are usually sold in large containers at prices that are quite competitive compared with many other grocery stores. One reason many shoppers choose them is the consistent berry size and the freshness, which tends to be better because the product sells quickly. As a result, the stock is replenished frequently. 20. Avocados. One reason many people like buying avocados at Costco is the relatively consistent quality and the fairly uniform size of the fruit. The bags are usually carefully selected, so the chances of getting nicely ripened avocados are often higher than at many other supermarkets. In addition, buying them in larger bags typically brings the price per avocado down, making them more affordable overall. 21. Parmigiano Reggiano. If you walk past the cheese section at Costco, there's one large block of cheese that many food lovers look for by name before adding it to their cart: Parmigiano Reggiano. This isn't the typical Parmesan you often see. It's the real cheese produced in Italy. When grated over hot pasta, the thin shavings melt beautifully and release a rich, unmistakable aroma. 22. Pecorino Romano. If Parmigiano Reggiano is considered the king of Italian cheeses, Pecorino Romano is like its bolder, more distinctive sibling. This cheese is made from sheep's milk, which gives it a stronger and more pronounced flavor than many other cheeses. Costco usually sells it in large vacuum-sealed blocks, helping the cheese stay fresh for a long time. 23. Gruyere. In the world of cheese, Gruyere is often considered one of the most versatile varieties. You can slice it to enjoy with bread, add it to a cheese board, or melt it into hot dishes. When melted, Gruyere has a mild richness with a slightly sweet flavor and an exceptionally smooth texture. That's why many chefs love using it for grilled sandwiches, baked pasta, or classic French onion soup. 24. Quail eggs. Right near the cheese section, you may sometimes notice a tray of small quail eggs that often makes shoppers stop for a closer look. These tiny eggs may seem simple, but when fried, they can be surprisingly appealing. Just crack a few into a hot pan, and the small golden yolks sitting in the soft whites instantly make the dish look far more interesting. 25. Pink coconut water. In the refrigerated section at Costco, there's a drink that many people try once and then start buying regularly: pink coconut water. Unlike typical packaged coconut water, this variety keeps its naturally beautiful pink color and tastes noticeably fresher. For those who enjoy light, refreshing drinks with little sugar, keeping a few bottles of pink coconut water in the fridge is always a pleasant option. 26. Chosen Foods avocado oil. In Costco's section for cooking oils and condiments, there's one bottle many home cooks specifically look for before adding it to their cart: Chosen Foods avocado oil. This oil is popular because of its mild flavor and high smoke point, making it great for searing steak, sautéing vegetables, or roasting in the oven. 27. Avocado oil spray. If you like quick and convenient cooking, avocado oil spray is a very handy item to keep in the kitchen. Just a light spray is enough to coat the pan with a thin, even layer of oil, perfect for frying eggs, roasting vegetables, or preparing a baking sheet without pouring too much oil. It's a small bottle, but it can make cooking cleaner and much faster. 28. Graza olive oil. Alongside avocado oil, a bottle of Graza olive oil often makes people pause for a closer look on the shelf. This brand is well known for its fresh flavor and its squeeze bottle, which makes it very convenient to use. Just squeeze a light drizzle over salad, pasta, or toasted bread, and the aroma of olive oil immediately comes through. For anyone who enjoys Mediterranean-style cooking, A good bottle of olive oil in the kitchen is almost essential. 29. Organic Triple Berry Blend. If you still have space in your freezer, many shoppers often grab a bag of organic triple berry blend at Costco. Inside are frozen strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries, making it very convenient for busy mornings. Just toss a handful into a blender with yogurt or almond milk, and you instantly have a cold, refreshing smoothie. 30. Argentine Red Shrimp. In the frozen section, Argentine red shrimp is an item that often catches people's curiosity the first time they see it. The shrimp have a naturally red color, even before cooking, and when prepared, they develop a slightly rich flavor that some people compare to lobster. Simply thaw them quickly and sauté with butter, garlic, and a squeeze of lemon for an incredibly fragrant seafood dish. 31. Frozen Fruit Popsicles. Mango, guava, lychee. Toward the end of the frozen aisle, you may sometimes see boxes of fruit popsicles in flavors like mango, guava, and lychee that look very appealing. What many people like about them is the simple ingredient list, the clear fruit flavor, and the fact that they aren't overly sweet. On a hot day, grabbing one from the freezer is enough to feel instantly cool and refreshed. 32. Organic Walnuts. In Costco's nut section, there's one bag that many health-conscious shoppers tend to grab right away: organic walnuts. These lightly crunchy walnut halves have a rich, nutty flavor and are extremely convenient for everyday use. You can sprinkle them over morning oatmeal, mix them into salads, or simply grab a small handful as a quick snack during the day. 33. Manuka Honey. Among the different types of honey at Costco, Manuka honey is one that often makes people stop and take a closer look. This honey is well known for its rich flavor and its distinctive, slightly caramel-like finish. Having a jar of Manuka honey in the kitchen feels like keeping a naturally sweet treat on hand whenever you want to add a touch of natural sweetness. 34. Kewpie Mayonnaise. If you've ever seen Kewpie mayonnaise at Asian supermarkets, you probably know that a small bottle can be quite expensive, but at Costco, this product is usually sold in larger bottles or multi-packs, which makes the price per ounce significantly lower. That's why many families prefer buying it here and keeping it in the fridge for regular use. 35. Snake River Farms Beef Jerky. Beef jerky is usually a fairly expensive snack when purchased at convenience stores. At Costco, however, Snake River Farms jerky is often sold in larger bags, making the price per pound much more reasonable. This is a well-known beef brand in the US, which is why many people like buying it at Costco to save money. 36. Whole black peppercorns. A small but very worthwhile item to buy at Costco is whole black peppercorns. At regular supermarkets, you usually find only small jars. Costco, however, sells large containers that can last a very long time. And because whole peppercorns retain their aroma better than pre-ground pepper, many people prefer buying a large jar and grinding it fresh with a pepper mill in the kitchen. Sometimes a trip to Costco isn't just about buying groceries for the coming week. It's also a chance to bring home truly high-quality ingredients that you might normally see only in restaurants or specialty stores. From large cuts of meat and seasonal seafood to authentic European cheeses. If you choose wisely, you can not only save a good amount of money but also elevate the meals you cook at home. And who knows, the next time you push your cart through those familiar aisles, you might discover a new item that makes your Costco trip even more exciting. Next time you go to Costco, which item from this video will you put in your cart first? There's something oddly consistent about Costco, the same store, the same prices. Yet the feeling after checkout can be completely different from one person to another. Some people walk out with just a few simple items, use every bit of them, and come back to buy the same things again. Others push a cart overflowing with products only to get home and realize they're not quite sure when they'll ever use them. The issue isn't how much you buy, it's what you choose to buy over and over again for months at a time. This list isn't about what's trending. It breaks down the Costco essentials that are genuinely worth living with, items that help you save, consistently eat better, and avoid emotional, impulse-driven shopping. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. One. Deli meats and convenient protein. If you pay close attention to the carts of longtime Costco shoppers, you'll notice that deli meats and convenient protein options always hold a steady place. Not because they're premium, but because they solve a very familiar problem getting enough protein on days when there's no time to cook. Prosciutto is a clear example of a true grab-and-eat protein. Naturally dry-cured and thinly sliced, it doesn't need reheating, so it keeps its soft texture and mild savory saltiness. The real value is that a small portion feels satisfying and protein-dense, making it ideal for a quick lunch with bread or a salad. Compared to buying it at a deli or upscale grocery store, Costco's pricing turns prosciutto from a luxury item into something you can enjoy regularly. Organic sliced turkey solves the opposite problem. It's light, easy to eat, and mild in flavor. It's a safe choice on days when you want a clean, no-grease meal. The strength of Costco's turkey options is their simpler ingredient list with fewer additives than typical deli meats, making them suitable for everyday use without that heavy processed food feeling. With grass-fed beef sausages, the value isn't just convenience, it's protein quality. Grass-fed beef is more filling with a richer flavor that isn't overpowering. A few minutes in a pan is all it takes to make a complete dinner. Finally, there's rotisserie chicken with the meat already pulled, one of the foundations of many Costco carts. One chicken can be stretched across several meals, eaten as is, turned into salad mixed with rice, or simmered into soup. Once the meat is pre-separated, the value comes from saved time and reduced waste, turning a familiar item into a flexible protein source for the entire week. 2. Rack of lamb. Leaving the deli section, the cart often slows in front of a cut that makes people stop and look a little longer. Rack of lamb. Among everyday meal options, this cut stands out, not because it's flashy, but because it raises a very practical question. Is this just for special occasions, or can it fit into regular meals? Costco's rack of lamb typically comes from Australia or New Zealand, where sheep are pasture-raised and primarily grass-fed. That's why the meat is tender, milder in aroma, and less chewy than other lamb cuts. More importantly, the rack is one of the easiest parts of the lamb to cook. It doesn't require long marinating or advanced technique. Quick searing or roasting is enough. The key point is value, not the feeling of eating something fancy. At butcher shops or high-end grocery stores, a rack of lamb is often priced so high that people only buy it for special occasions. At Costco, the price per pound is noticeably lower, turning it from a luxury into a reasonable weekend meal option. Another detail many people overlook: a rack of lamb has a very high yield of edible meat. There's little excess fat and minimal waste, so the real cost per serving isn't as high as it seems. One package can be shared across multiple meals or people, especially when cooked at home instead of ordering lamb at a restaurant. 3. Greens. The produce section is where many people tend to move quickly, assuming that greens are basically the same everywhere. But if you look more closely, microgreens and Boston lettuce clearly show how Costco creates value in items that seem very ordinary. Microgreens are all about adding nutrients and flavor. A small container can last several meals, sprinkled over salads, eggs, sandwiches, or even a bowl of noodles. They instantly make a difference. The key point is pricing. While they're not the cheapest option out there, Costco's price is significantly lower than what you'd pay at organic shops or upscale grocery stores. Boston lettuce is more familiar and easy to use every day. The leaves are soft, mild, and not bitter, making them suitable for both adults and kids. The multi-head package may look large at first, but if you regularly eat salads or use lettuce to wrap meats, it disappears quickly. More importantly, this type of lettuce spoils far less easily than many other leafy greens. It can sit in the fridge for several days and still be usable, which means you rarely end up throwing it away. When you combine these two, you have a solid base green for filling meals and an add-on green to make food more enjoyable. No complicated cooking is needed, just wash, toss, or wrap, and you're done. On a typical Costco run, this is a produce combo that's both easy to use and well-suited to a busy lifestyle. 4. Whole fresh coconuts. This is a display that looks a bit unusual and often gets overlooked. Whole coconuts with the husk still on. No bottles, no cartons, no flashy detox or electrolyte labels. Just coconuts in their natural state. And that simplicity is exactly why many people keep buying them rather than treating them as a one-time novelty. Costco's whole coconuts stand out because they're minimally processed. No heavy pasteurization, no added sugar, no flavoring. You open the top, insert a straw, and drink. The taste isn't aggressively sweet like boxed coconut water, and it may even feel slightly mild if you're used to sugary drinks, but in exchange, it feels very real and clean. On hot days, after a workout or whenever you just need quick hydration, this is a far more pleasant option than many other beverages. At first glance, a whole coconut might seem inconvenient. In reality, each one is meant for a single drink. No half-used bottles, no shaking, no worrying about forgetting it in the fridge. Compared to buying bottled coconut water individually, the cost per drink at Costco isn't as high as it seems, especially when you factor in the absence of added sugar or additives. 5 frozen fruit and organic berry blends. Deeper into the freezer section, there's a category that often gets ignored because it looks very ordinary: frozen fruit and organic berry blends. No eye-catching packaging, no loud marketing. But these are staples that consistently show up in the freezers of longtime Costco shoppers. Kirkland's 3-berry blend combines raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries frozen right after harvest. This helps preserve natural flavor and fiber while avoiding the common problem of fresh fruit going soft too quickly and getting wasted. Especially during colder months when fresh fruit prices fluctuate and quality is inconsistent, having a frozen bag on hand removes a lot of hesitation at the store. Using it is straightforward. In the morning, grab a handful for oatmeal, mix it into yogurt, or blend it quickly into a smoothie. No washing, no chopping, and no leftovers to worry about. The bag looks large, but if you use it regularly, it empties faster than you'd expect, especially in households with kids or anyone who eats breakfast at home often. If you don't make smoothies or aren't in the habit of eating fruit daily, this may not be necessary. But for anyone who wants quick, flexible breakfast without overthinking, Costco's organic frozen fruit is absolutely worth keeping in the freezer. 6 Manuka honey gummy candies. At Costco, it's easy to come across an item that sparks curiosity and also tends to end up in carts. On impulse, Manuka honey gummy candies. Just hearing the name already sounds healthy. Manuka honey is well known for its health benefits, and turning it into a convenient gummy makes it seem even more appealing. But this is also an item that's easy to misunderstand if you don't stop to read the label carefully. From the packaging alone, everything suggests something good for your body. Manuka honey is highlighted prominently. The visuals are soft and clean, and it feels suitable for both adults and kids. But once you flip the package over, the story changes. The first ingredient is often not honey but sugar or glucose syrup. To make gummies, the mixture has to be heated so it can set. And honey, especially Manuka. Honey loses many of the properties that make it valuable when exposed to high heat. That means what you're actually eating is still mostly candy, not a truly healthy honey product, the way many people expect. If you treat this as a sweet something to enjoy occasionally for fun, there's no real issue. But if you're buying it with the idea that you're supplementing Manuka honey for health reasons, it's easy to end up disappointed and spending money unnecessarily. Like the video if this surprised you. 7 avocado oil potato chips. At first glance, they look like any other potato chips. But the phrase fried in avocado oil immediately grabs attention and often convinces people to toss them into the cart without much thought. Avocado oil chips stand out because most snacks on the market are fried in seed oils. Eating them once in a while isn't a big deal, but with frequent snacking, many people start to feel uneasy about it. Avocado oil sounds gentler and easier on the body, and that's what makes these chips feel different. When you open the bag, the smell is mild, not sharp or greasy. The potato flavor comes through clearly instead of being overpowered by oil. You can eat a few chips and still feel fine rather than getting that heavy, greasy feeling right away. One thing that feels reasonable is the short ingredient list: just potatoes, avocado oil, and salt. No seasoning blends, no complicated flavorings. For people who check labels, this adds a sense of reassurance, especially when buying snacks for the whole family. Or when you just want something quick without overthinking it. Of course, this is still fried potatoes. It's not something to pretend is healthy food. But within the snack category, it's a much more acceptable option. A large bag from Costco lasts a long time, especially if you're not the type to finish it in one sitting. The practical advice is to treat avocado oil chips as a controlled snack, something for movie nights, or when you want a change of pace, not something to eat every day. 8 Kerrygold cheese sticks. Walking past the cheese section, there's an item that's easy to overlook because it's compact and not flashy. Kerrygold cheese sticks. They're not large blocks meant for grating, and not sliced cheese for sandwiches, but they're something many families buy and then keep coming back for. Kerrygold is already well known for cheese and butter made from grass-fed cow's milk, which creates a certain level of trust from the start. The stick format makes it even more convenient. Each stick is a single serving, no cutting, no rewrapping, just open and eat. On busy days, one cheese stick paired with fruit or a handful of nuts is often enough to hold you over until your next full meal. The eating experience is straightforward. The cheese is moderately rich, lightly salty, and not sharp or crumbly. One stick is more filling than you might expect thanks to the combination of protein and fat, so hunger doesn't come back right away. That's also why many people choose these for kids' school snacks or keep them in the fridge for quick bites. Compared to buying individual sticks at regular grocery stores, the Kerrygold multi-pack at Costco is more comfortable price-wise. The box looks large, but if everyone in the household eats them, it goes quickly. More importantly, it doesn't feel like something you buy and forget. These sticks slip easily into everyday eating habits. 9. Forager Project Dairy-Free Greek Yogurt. This is an item that ends up in the cart almost every Costco trip, especially during weeks when you want simple meals without relying on cow's milk. Forager Project Dairy-Free Greek Yogurt. The reason is straightforward. It's ready to eat, keeps you full for a decent amount of time, and doesn't feel heavy. Forager Project makes its yogurt from cashews and coconut, which gives it a thick, smooth texture, not runny like many other plant-based yogurts. The flavor is lightly creamy, not sharply tangy, and it doesn't have that unpleasant plant aftertaste. It works well on its own, but when mixed with frozen fruit, oats, or a handful of nuts, it quickly turns into a very compact breakfast or snack. For many people, the biggest advantage is the relatively high amount of plant-based protein. For anyone who's lactose intolerant or trying to limit dairy, this makes it easier to keep up a protein routine without much effort. One container is usually enough to take the edge off hunger without triggering that cycle of eating and immediately wanting to snack again. 10. Kirkland Peanut Butter and Pasta Sauce. These two items show up in carts on almost every Costco run, not because they're unusual, but because they're easy to use repeatedly without getting tired of them, and it's hard to find comparable prices elsewhere. Kirkland Peanut Butter and Pasta Sauce. With Kirkland Peanut Butter, the biggest selling point is simplicity. The ingredient list is short with no artificial flavors and no added oils. The jar is large, but it gets used steadily. You don't end up buying it and forgetting about it. Compared to healthy-sounding peanut butters at regular grocery stores, Costco's price is genuinely more comfortable for households that eat it often. Pasta sauce, on the other hand, is all about those days when you don't want to spend much time cooking. Costco typically carries only a few sauces that are actually solid, rather than overwhelming you with options. These sauces use real olive oil, have balanced flavor, aren't overly sweet, and don't taste overly industrial. For people who cook at home regularly, this saves a lot of effort on busy days while still delivering a proper meal. What these two items have in common is reliability. They're not novelty purchases, they're things you use week after week. Peanut butter handles breakfast and snacks. Pasta sauce covers quick dinners. You buy them once they last a long time, the spoilage risk is low, and there's very little thinking required when you're standing in front of the shelf. 11. Deli meats and wraps. By this point in a Costco trip, if you're already thinking about quick meals for the week, deli meats and grain-free almond flour wraps naturally become an easy pair to drop into the cart. Nothing complicated, no advanced planning, just open the fridge and you can put together a meal. With deli meats, the reason many people keep buying them isn't because they're exceptionally delicious, but because they're convenient and consistently useful. Thin slices, balanced flavor, no reheating required. On a busy lunch, a few slices with some greens are enough to keep you full. Late nights, a quick wrap, and dinner is done. What matters is that deli meats at Costco usually have simpler ingredient lists than many retail options, which makes regular use feel more reassuring. Grain-free almond flour wraps, on the other hand, work especially well for anyone trying to limit refined carbs, but still needing something to wrap food in. The wraps are thin and flexible, not dry or prone to tearing. The flavor is fairly neutral, so it doesn't overpower the filling. Compared to buying wraps individually at regular grocery stores, Costco's pricing is noticeably easier on the budget, especially for frequent use. The strength of this combo is flexibility. It's not just for deli meats. You can wrap pulled rotisserie chicken, eggs, greens, or even use up leftover pasta sauce. One pack of wraps can cover multiple meals without the feeling of buying something that just sits unused. 12 Dr. Squatch Bar Soap. Moving into the personal care section, there's one item many people stop to look at more closely every Costco trip. Dr. Squatch Bar Soap. Not because it's urgently needed, but because it's the kind of product where, if the price feels right, it's worth grabbing, and once you've used it, it's easy to come back for more. Dr. Squatch is a bar soap with a noticeable scent, but not the harsh, overly chemical kind. When used, it lathers moderately and doesn't leave the skin feeling tight or dry afterward. For those who've used commercial soaps for years, the first impression can feel a bit different because the skin doesn't feel overly slick. After a few days, though, it tends to feel more comfortable, especially for people who shower frequently or have dry skin. One notable point is the relatively simple ingredient list. It's mostly oils like coconut oil, olive oil, and palm oil. Nothing fancy, but at least familiar and easy to understand, without the sense of using something loaded with chemicals. Buying Dr. Squatch at Costco has one very clear advantage: price. Sold in larger packs, the cost per bar is significantly lower than buying individual bars at grocery stores or online. For regular users, it's a buy-once-use for a long-time kind of purchase, with no need to rethink it for months. After a full shopping run, the most obvious common thread isn't which items are expensive or cheap, but choosing what actually fits your lifestyle. Costco delivers the most value when you focus on items you use regularly that make everyday meals easier, and when you know which products are worth buying at the right time. You don't need to fill the cart, just a few well-chosen items can save money, time, and the frustration of buying the wrong things. Shopping at Costco efficiently isn't about buying more, it's about buying less, using everything, and using it well. Which essential item in the video surprised you the most?
There's a truth very few people want to admit. Many shoppers leave Costco with a higher bill, yet their kitchen isn't much fuller. It's not because Costco is expensive, and it's not because you're buying low-quality products. The problem is how you shop. The same mistakes: buying out of habit, buying oversized bundles, buying with the mindset of "I'll use it eventually," quietly drain your money every time you push the cart to checkout. If you've ever believed that shopping at Costco means saving money, but still find your budget coming up short at the end of the month, chances are you're making the exact same mistakes millions of others are making too. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Buying trial products without a long-term plan. This mistake happens quietly because it doesn't feel like a bad purchase at the register. A new product with eye-catching packaging placed in a highly visible spot makes many people think, "I'll take it home and try it. If it doesn't work out, no big deal." The problem is that at Costco, trying rarely means trying a small amount. The large size turns a small decision into a meaningful expense. Once you get home, the product usually falls into one of two familiar scenarios. Either it doesn't really fit your routine, so it gets used once or twice and then sits untouched in the cabinet. Or it's fine, but not good enough to become a habit. At that point, the item takes up space and locks up money without delivering real ongoing value. What makes this mistake dangerous is how it compounds over time. Adding one just to try item per Costco trip doesn't feel shocking. But after a few months, your pantry, freezer, or storage area fills up with things that aren't part of your regular consumption cycle. You keep buying new items while the old ones remain unfinished, creating a loop of buy, abandon, buy again. Avoiding this isn't about banning yourself from new products. It's about asking one question before putting something in your cart: where will this be used next week, next month? Is it replacing something you already use, or is it just an addition? If the answer is vague, there's a high chance this is a try once and forget purchase. 2. Buying fresh fruits and vegetables in large quantities. Buying fresh fruits and vegetables in bulk is an easy mistake to make, especially when the price per pound looks much cheaper than at a regular supermarket. At Costco's produce section, everything looks fresh, appealing, and generously packaged, which creates the feeling that if you don't buy a lot, you're missing out on a great deal. That feeling usually lasts only until you get home. The issue isn't quality, it's usage speed. Most households can't consume that amount of produce before it starts to soften, wilt, or spoil. In reality, just a few forgotten bags of fruit in the fridge can cost more than buying smaller amounts and using everything. Another factor people rarely consider is the pressure to eat it all in time. When the fridge is packed with fresh produce meals, start revolving around using things up rather than eating based on actual needs. This creates waste and adds stress, especially for smaller households or people who don't cook regularly. The solution isn't avoiding the produce section altogether, it's changing how you buy. For items you use daily and go through quickly, Costco still makes sense. For everything else, frozen options are often more effective. Frozen fruits and vegetables keep their quality longer, are easy to portion, don't create urgency to use them immediately, and help spread costs out over time. 3. Assuming canned goods are always cheaper at Costco. Many people walk into Costco with a familiar belief: canned goods are cheaper here, no question. They have long shelf lives, don't spoil easily, and are sold in large cases on the surface that feels like a safe choice. But this assumption is exactly what causes many shoppers to spend more without realizing it. The mistake is equating larger quantities with better prices. For canned items like beans, corn, vegetables, or tuna, many regular supermarkets run deep weekly or seasonal discounts. When bought individually during sales, the price per can can be noticeably lower than Costco's. Without comparing, shoppers often miss these better deals simply because they assume Costco always wins on price. Another point is that while canned goods do last a long time, that doesn't mean you need to buy a large quantity all at once. Buying a full case locks money into your pantry, while the same amount of cash could be used more flexibly by waiting for sales at a nearby store. Costco also isn't optimized for every type of canned product. Some items are competitively priced, but others are only equal to or even more expensive than elsewhere once promotions are factored in. If you skip unit price comparisons, it's easy to believe you're saving when you're actually not. 4. Not comparing unit prices. Failing to compare unit prices is one of the most expensive mistakes because it doesn't feel like a wrong decision at checkout. On the shelf, shoppers' eyes usually land on the large number, the total price of the package. A bigger pack that costs slightly more often creates the feeling that buying more means saving. That feeling is often misleading. The real value is in the smaller number underneath the price per ounce, per pound, or per item. This is where differences become obvious. Two products that look nearly identical and are priced close overall can have very different unit prices. Skip that line and you may end up choosing the more expensive option while still thinking you're saving money. This mistake is even more common at Costco because of the large packaging. The brain automatically assumes bulk equals cheap, so few people pause for a few seconds to compare. In reality, smaller packages sometimes have lower unit prices or cost the same, but are easier to finish without waste. Many shoppers compare a Costco item to a different brand at a regular supermarket and conclude Costco is cheaper. But without converting both to the same unit of measure, that conclusion can easily be wrong. Unit pricing puts every option on the same playing field regardless of package size. A simple habit helps: always glance at the unit price before adding something to your cart. Those few seconds can prevent a lot of impulse decisions. Once you start buying based on that number, you'll notice your bill becoming more stable, even if your cart doesn't look any smaller. 5. Shopping at Costco without setting a limit on how many items go in the cart. Going into Costco without setting a limit on how many items you'll buy is the fastest way for your bill to balloon, and it's also the hardest mistake to notice while shopping. The oversized carts, wide aisles, and generously packaged products all create the feeling that adding one more item doesn't really matter. The problem is that each of those doesn't matter decisions adds up very quickly. Without a limit, buying shifts goes from intentional to reactive. You grab familiar items out of habit, toss in things on sale, and add products you might use someday. It's only at the checkout that the total shocks you, and by then it's too late to sort out what you actually needed. Many people justify it by thinking, I might as well get it now, I don't come to Costco often. That mindset fills the cart with items that aren't part of your near-term consumption plan, locking money away in your pantry, freezer, or storage space. The simplest way to avoid this is to set a limit before you walk in. You don't need a detailed list, just a clear maximum number of items or a total budget. Once you hit that limit, adding anything new forces you to remove something else. This rule shifts your brain into evaluating choices instead of buying on autopilot. Like the video if this surprised you. 6. Choosing the wrong membership tier. Choosing the wrong membership tier is a mistake that doesn't feel like losing money right away, but quietly increases costs over time. Many people sign up with the mindset of it's more convenient, or are swayed by promises of cash back and perks without stopping to look honestly at how often they actually shop. The most common issue is paying for a higher tier membership than you need. A 2% cashback reward sounds appealing, but if you only shop at Costco a few times a year, your total spending may not be high enough to offset the higher annual fee. In that case, the premium membership stops being a benefit and becomes a fixed cost that quietly gets ignored. On the flip side, some people shop at Costco regularly but keep a basic membership for too long. They spend consistently month after month, yet don't take advantage of cashback rewards or included services. In this situation, not upgrading means leaving money on the table. Another mistake is never reevaluating your membership over time. Shopping habits change. Household size grows or shrinks. Needs shift. But the membership type stays the same as the day you signed up. Costco won't adjust that for you if you don't take the initiative to review it. The membership fee can easily become a mindless expense. 7. Buying more just because it's a large bundle. This is probably the most familiar trap at Costco. On the shelf, two options sit side by side, a single pack and a double or triple pack. The price difference doesn't look big, so the natural reaction is to grab the larger one because it feels like a better deal. That decision is usually made quickly, almost without thinking. The problem is that bigger bundles don't automatically mean savings. When you buy double or triple the amount, you're also doubling or tripling the risk of not using it all. For items that are used slowly, the excess ends up taking up space, expiring, or being forgotten. At that point, the money you thought you saved is actually tied up in your cabinets without delivering real value. This mistake becomes more likely when shoppers tell themselves, "I'll use it eventually." But there's a difference between being able to use something and actually using it all. If your consumption rate doesn't change, a larger bundle only stretches out the usage time. It doesn't lower the cost per use. Because Costco isn't a weekly stop for most people, there's a tendency to stock up just in case. That often leads to heavier carts filled with items meant to be used later, but that later never quite comes. The solution isn't avoiding large bundles altogether, it's honestly evaluating how fast you truly use an item. If something isn't used regularly, a big bundle just makes spending harder to control. 8. Ignoring price codes, 997*. Ignoring price codes is a mistake that leads many people to buy the right item at the wrong time. On the shelf, most eyes focus on the large number, while the last two digits quietly indicate the item's status. If you don't pay attention, you may end up paying full price for something that could be significantly cheaper just days or weeks later. At Costco, prices ending in 99 usually indicate a standard price. It doesn't mean the item is expensive or cheap, it simply means it's being sold at its regular price. When the price changes to .97, the situation is completely different. This signals a clearance item, often because shelf space needs to be freed up or the product won't be restocked. These items can be deeply discounted from their original price, but Costco doesn't put up large clearance signs. The asterisk in the corner of the price tag is even more important. It means the product is about to be discontinued at that location. For items you use regularly, this is a signal to consider buying extra. You might purchase a familiar product, then come back a few weeks later and find it completely gone. 9. Buying oversized bottles of condiments. This mistake often gets overlooked because the waste isn't obvious right away. Buying large bottles of condiments. Ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, and soy sauce are items every household uses. So many people assume bigger bottles automatically mean better value. The problem starts the moment you open them. Once opened, condiments begin to lose quality day by day. Color changes, flavor fades, and the practical shelf life becomes much shorter than the date printed on the label. With large bottles, most households simply can't use them fast enough. The familiar outcome is throwing part of the bottle away, and that's when the initial savings disappear. This mistake is even more common at Costco. Large packaging creates the feeling of buying once and using it for a long time, but in reality, it ties up money in the fridge and takes up space. With mayonnaise or oil-based sauces, the risk is even higher because they spoil more easily after opening. You don't see the money being lost, but it's sitting in the unused portion of those condiments. The smarter approach isn't avoiding Costco, it's spreading the risk. Instead of one giant bottle, buying two medium-sized bottles over time keeps condiments fresher and reduces waste. For items you use slowly, smaller sizes also let you switch flavors if tastes change, rather than forcing yourself to use it up. 10. Skipping Costco travel and gift cards. Skipping Costco travel and gift cards is a mistake that leads many people to save at the grocery checkout but overspend elsewhere. Plenty of shoppers go to Costco only for food and household items, then leave without ever looking at the areas that can cut some of the biggest non-daily expenses. Costco travel is often dismissed as complicated or only for big vacations. In reality, it's where Costco uses its buying power to negotiate strong prices on hotels, rental cars, attractions, and bundled travel packages. For anyone who already has a trip or work travel planned, booking through Costco, travel can reduce costs without sacrificing quality. But because it feels unfamiliar, many people skip it and keep booking elsewhere at higher prices. Gift cards fall into the same category. They're usually placed in less prominent areas, making them easy to walk past without noticing. Meanwhile, many restaurant, coffee, movie theater, and entertainment gift cards are sold below face value, meaning instant savings at the time of purchase. If you're already spending money on these services each month, not using gift cards means missing out on a clear built-in discount. 11. Buying seasonal gift baskets. Seasonal gift baskets are the easiest choice when you're in a rush and often the poorest value. They're pre-arranged, nicely packaged, and feel like a done deal. That convenience is exactly what keeps buyers from stopping to look closely at what's inside. The issue isn't gift giving, it's the value-to-price ratio. Most seasonal gift baskets charge heavily for presentation boxes, wrapping bows, and decorative trays. Inside, you'll usually find standard items, small portions, or even slow-moving products bundled together for the holiday. When broken down item by item, the cost is often much higher than buying the same thing separately. This mistake is amplified by the mindset that gifts need to be bought quickly. In a rush, few people compare options or consider that the same amount of money could buy a single higher quality item, wine, good coffee, premium chocolate that the recipient would enjoy longer and recognize more clearly in value. Gift baskets look abundant, but their usefulness is spread thin. Because gift baskets mix many different items, not everything gets used. The recipient picks out a few familiar things, while the rest sit untouched or get thrown away. The money spent never turns into a meaningful experience. If you need a gift quickly, a more effective solution is choosing one specific easy-to-use item or combining 2 or 3 smaller items based on the recipient's habits. Less quantity, but better fit. 12. Not taking advantage of the gas station and auto center. Many people walk into Costco with the goal of saving money, yet unintentionally overlook 2 of the most obvious money-saving areas: the gas station and the auto center. They shop carefully inside the warehouse, comparing prices item by item, but once they leave the parking lot, they fill up at a nearby gas station or replace tires at a shop they're more familiar with. This disconnect means the membership benefits are being used, but not to their full potential. Costco's gas station isn't meant to be a stop-by if it's a convenient option. It's designed to reduce costs consistently over time. Gas prices are usually a few cents per gallon lower than surrounding stations. On its own, that difference looks small. But for frequent drivers, it repeats week after week, month after month. When you're already at Costco and don't fill up, you're passing up a very real form of cumulative savings. The auto center is treated much the same way. Many people glance at tire prices and move on without factoring in the real value of the bundled services installation, balancing regular rotations and warranty coverage. When you compare the same tires elsewhere and add the cost of those services, the total is often no cheaper. But because it's unfamiliar, the auto center tends to be seen as a secondary option. When you think of Costco only as a place to buy groceries, you miss out on areas that reduce vehicle operating costs, expenses that repeat all year long. A small shift in habit can make your membership deliver far more real value. It's clear that these mistakes aren't about the products themselves, but about how we make purchasing decisions. Costco is only truly a money saver when you control quantity, timing, and real needs. Avoiding emotional buying. Understanding price codes, comparing correctly, and using the services already available all help keep more money in your wallet without sacrificing everyday convenience. Making fewer wrong purchases matters more than chasing cheaper prices. Which mistake in the video surprised you the most?
Many older shoppers believe Costco is a safe place to shop. Good prices, low risk. You walk in, grab exactly what you need, and leave. But the reality is this: Costco does not operate like a normal supermarket. Behind the wide aisles, oversized carts, and prices that appear to be great deals, there is a carefully engineered system designed to guide shopping behavior, one that most customers never consciously notice. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. Fewer products, but you end up buying more. One of the biggest misconceptions about Costco is the idea that there's less stuff here, so shopping should be quick. In reality, the opposite is true. Costco carries only about 4,000 products, while a typical supermarket may stock 30,000 to 40,000 items. Fewer choices aren't because Costco can't sell more. It's a core strategy. When you're not standing there comparing 10 brands of ketchup, 20 types of milk, or 15 laundry detergents, your brain gets less fatigued. And when your brain is less fatigued, you make decisions faster. You put an item into your cart decisively and move on to the next one. Before you realize it, the cart is full. Costco understands this extremely well. The fewer the choices, the less hesitation shoppers have, and the more money they spend. What most people don't know is that roughly 90% of products pitched to Costco are rejected, including those from major brands. Not because the products are bad, but because they don't meet Costco's strict standards on pricing, margins, and turnover. Costco caps markups very tightly, so if a supplier isn't willing to sacrifice profit, they're out immediately. The result is that everything left on the shelves has been heavily filtered, creating the impression that almost everything here is worth buying. For older shoppers, this is a double-edged sword. On one hand, there's comfort in feeling that Costco has already done the choosing for me. On the other hand, that very sense of trust makes it easier to buy things you don't actually need, simply because they're right in front of you and seem reasonable enough. Costco is quietly tracking your behavior. You might think no one is paying attention when you walk into Costco to shop, that you're just an ordinary customer pushing a cart around the warehouse, grabbing a few familiar items, then heading out unnoticed. But the truth is this: Costco watches its customers far more closely than you realize, and it does so very quietly. There are no employees shadowing you, no warning signs saying you are being monitored. But inside Costco is an entire system that discreetly records behavior. The way you push your cart, where you stop in the aisle, whether you abandon a full cart and come back or not, none of that is invisible. Employees don't comment and don't complain, but the system remembers. And habits that seem harmless, lingering too long in the middle of aisles, asking many questions without buying, or repeatedly returning items, all leave traces over time. Costco may feel friendly, but behind that friendliness is a strict order and logic governing everything. The psychological spending trap of executive membership. Executive membership is often marketed as a can't-lose upgrade. Pay more each year and get 2% back on every purchase. On the surface, it sounds perfectly reasonable, especially for older shoppers who buy regularly. But it's exactly at that point of sounding reasonable that the psychological trap begins. Very few people actually sit down and do the math. To break even on executive membership, you need to spend over $3,000 a year. That means visiting Costco nearly every month and spending noticeably more than before. If you don't hit that threshold, Costco will technically refund the difference. But in reality, most shoppers never stop to check. They remember only one thing: I'm getting money back. From there, thinking begins to shift, subtly but dangerously. You see an item that feels a bit expensive and reassure yourself, it's fine, I get 2% back anyway. Standing between two options, you choose the larger package because it earns more rewards. Executive membership doesn't force you to buy. It simply gives you a reasonable excuse to buy more. Costco understands this very well. Fewer than half of members are executive, yet this group generates the majority of revenue. Once upgraded, you tend to return more often, try to spend enough to justify it, and gradually adjust your spending habits around that membership card. The cheap price psychology trap, the $1.50 hot dog. Costco's $1.50 hot dog is often cited as a symbol of goodwill. The same low price for decades, no increases, no gimmicks. Many people see it as proof that Costco plays fair with customers. But if you look a little closer, you'll see that this hot dog wasn't designed to sell food. It was designed to shape how you feel while shopping. Costco knows perfectly well that it loses money on every hot dog sold. Not occasionally, consistently, year after year. So why keep it? Because $1.50 isn't just a price. It's a message. It tells you, everything here is reasonable, you can trust us. Once that feeling takes hold, you enter the warehouse more relaxed, less guarded, and more willing to open your wallet. The real subtlety is this. You never go in just to buy a hot dog and leave. The food court is usually near the exit, but to get there, you've already walked through the entire warehouse. Large TVS, grills, home goods, clothing, and seasonal items, things you never planned to buy, have now entered your field of view. The hot dog ends the trip, but the big spending decisions happened long before that. A design meant to make you lose your way. If you've ever walked into Costco thinking, I'll just grab a few things and head out, only to find yourself still pushing a cart an hour later, that's not because you're slow. It's because Costco is designed to make you lose your way, not in the sense of being physically lost, but drifting away from your original plan. At Costco, you won't find clear directional signage like you do in a typical supermarket. The aisles are wide but lack a familiar, predictable order. An item you bought last week may disappear from its usual spot and reappear in a completely different corner. This isn't poor organization, it's intentional. When you can't rely on habit, you're forced to look around. And every time you look around, you see something you never planned to buy. Essential items like milk, eggs, and bread are often pushed to the back of the warehouse. To get to them, you have to pass rows of seasonal products, TVS, home appliances, clothing, decor, and even items labeled one time only. Costco doesn't need you to buy everything. They only need you to buy one thing that wasn't on your list. One item is enough to change the total on your receipt. Kirkland, a private label but not cheap. Many people see the Kirkland label and immediately think cheap. A private brand, no advertising, no flashy packaging. In most shoppers' minds, that usually means cost-cutting. But at Costco, Kirkland wasn't created to be cheap. It was created to challenge how consumers think about value. What sets Kirkland apart is that many of its products aren't made by unknown factories. They come from the very same facilities that produce goods for premium brands on the open market. Same production lines, same standards. Sometimes the only difference is the label on the outside. But Costco doesn't spell this out. Instead, they let shoppers debate, compare, and spread the story themselves. It's just as good as the premium brand, but cheaper. That silence isn't a lack of transparency. It's a strategic choice. Kirkland does deliver real quality. That part is true. But because of that, shoppers tend to lower their guard when it comes to price. A Kirkland item may not be much cheaper than comparable products elsewhere, but because it carries a trustworthy image, people are more likely to skip price comparisons. Like the video if this surprised you. Costco's secret price language. If you've ever looked at Costco price tags and thought all the numbers were the same, you may have missed one of the most important parts of the store. In reality, Costco pricing is anything but random. It's a kind of language, one that only attentive shoppers know how to read. And if you don't understand that language, it's very easy to buy at the wrong time. The most commonly overlooked detail is a tiny asterisk in the corner of the price sign. It's not highlighted, not explained, but it carries a very specific meaning. That item is about to disappear. Once it sells out, it's gone, possibly forever. The problem is, you don't know whether it's a seasonal product or a popular item that's been permanently discontinued. Employees often don't know either. As a result, many shoppers only understand the importance of the asterisk after the item they liked has vanished from the shelf. Then there's the price ending. Numbers like 0.99 or 0.89 usually indicate regular pricing. But if you see 0.97, that's a true markdown. No advertising, no sale signage. It just quietly sits on the shelf. Even lower is N7, which signals a manager-approved clearance specific to that warehouse, not applied elsewhere. These are often the deepest discounts and also the hardest to catch, because Costco doesn't want everyone to know about them. The return policy is not unlimited. Costco is famous for a return policy that makes many people believe if you buy here, you can never really lose. You can return almost anything, at almost any time, with little explanation. On the surface, it sounds extremely generous and stress-free. But the truth is this: the policy is not unlimited. Costco simply doesn't say that outright. Every time you make a return or exchange, the system records it in detail: what you returned, how long after purchase, and how often you do it. Returning an item once because it's defective is normal, but if you develop habits like buying something temporarily and returning it later, purchasing items for an event and then bringing them back, or repeatedly returning high-value items, your shopping profile will start to draw attention. What's subtle is that Costco maintains the image of easy returns precisely because the policy only works when people believe it has no limits. Most customers use it responsibly, so the system runs smoothly. But for those who cross the line, the consequences arrive quietly. One day your membership no longer works, or a return is denied with little explanation. Many people assume frequent returns are a justified right because they've paid a membership fee. But Costco doesn't view it as an unconditional right. It sees it as a form of mutual trust. Once you understand that every action is tracked, you tend to return items more carefully. Receipt checks as a way to track behavior. Many shoppers see handing their receipt to the employee at the exit as a meaningless formality, something done just to get it over with. Some even find it annoying and think, I already paid. Why are they checking again? But for Costco, this isn't an anti-theft ritual. It's part of a system designed to monitor and adjust shopping behavior. In reality, Costco knows very well that theft is rare in its stores. The bigger issue is scanning errors. When buying in bulk, mistakes are easy. 2 cases of water but only 1 scanned, 3 cartons of milk but charged for 2. Each mistake represents lost revenue. A quick receipt check allows Costco to catch these errors on the spot before you leave the store. In some cases, this step also protects customers from being overcharged without realizing it. The small pen marks drawn on receipts aren't random. Each warehouse, each shift, has its own markings so internal control teams know exactly what was checked. Most customers see only a line or a mark, but to the system behind it, that mark is data, and data is always stored. Rotisserie chicken, the membership magnet. Costco's $4.99 rotisserie chicken is often seen as an unbelievable deal. Cheap, large, convenient, and ready to eat. But if you think this is simply about selling low-priced food, you're missing the bigger picture. For Costco, that chicken isn't meant to make money. It's a magnet that pulls members back into the store. Costco willingly loses tens of millions of dollars every year on rotisserie chicken alone. They fully understand that the cost of raising, preparing, and transporting the chickens exceeds the sale price, yet they keep it fixed. The goal isn't profit from the chicken, it's foot traffic. You come in for the chicken, but you rarely leave with only the chicken. And placing it at the back of the warehouse is no accident. To get it, you have to walk past clothing, home goods, electronics, and seasonal items, things that easily, accidentally end up in your cart. A detail few people notice is the size of the chicken itself. Costco's chickens are typically larger than competitors, making them feel like exceptional value at first glance. That sense of getting a deal appears early in the trip, making later purchases feel more acceptable price-wise. I already saved money here. That thought lowers your guard, especially for habitual shoppers. Food court. Losing money but impossible to remove. Costco's food court is often seen as a side attraction. A few familiar items, low prices, and something quick to eat before heading home. But from a business perspective, it's actually a loss-making area that Costco would never dare eliminate. Not because the food is better than elsewhere, but because the food court serves a completely different purpose. There was a time when Costco seriously considered shutting down the food court. That space could have been used to display TVS, home appliances, or seasonal merchandise, items with much higher profit margins. But leadership quickly abandoned the idea. The reason was simple. The food court doesn't sell food, it sells attachment. More than 100 million visits to the food court each year aren't just about eating, they create a habit. Going to Costco means getting a cheap meal. Pizza, hot dogs, and chicken bakes are prepared fresh every day, with prices that have barely changed for years. These items aren't healthy and they aren't refined, but they feel familiar. For older shoppers especially, that familiarity is powerful. After shopping, there's a place to sit, rest, and have a light meal without thinking further. The trip becomes more complete and comfortable, not just a transaction. Some people even pay for a membership primarily because of the food court. On paper, this is an unprofitable expense. Psychologically, however, it's a goldmine of loyalty. A little-known truth about alcohol at Costco. Many people believe that buying alcohol at Costco requires a membership card. As a result, quite a few shoppers pay the annual fee just to buy a few bottles of wine or spirits at good prices. But the truth is this: in some states, you can legally buy alcohol at Costco without a membership. This isn't a courtesy. It's a legal requirement that Costco must follow. Laws in many states do not allow alcohol retailers to restrict access through membership requirements. Costco knows this and complies, although it rarely advertises the fact. In these locations, the alcohol section often has a separate entrance. You simply state that you're there to buy alcohol, and no membership scan is required. Prices are often 20 to 40% lower than at outside liquor stores, especially for popular wines and spirits. For older shoppers, this can represent meaningful savings that are easily missed. Many people buy a membership because they believe you can't get in without one, when in reality they already have the right to purchase alcohol. Costco doesn't hide this, but it doesn't promote it either, because selling memberships remains the priority. Once you believe the card is mandatory, you've effectively locked yourself into the system. The exceptions that truly benefit shoppers. While most of Costco's system is designed to guide spending behavior and encourage you to spend more, there are still a few genuine exceptions that actually work in the shopper's favor, not because of marketing, but because of legal requirements, cost structures, and long-term strategy. The first exception is the pharmacy. In many U.S. states, you do not need a membership to purchase prescription medication. This is not a hidden perk, but a legal obligation. Costco is not allowed to refuse pharmacy sales to non-members. For older adults, people without insurance, or those with high deductibles, drug prices at Costco are often significantly lower than at major pharmacy chains. The second exception is tire service. Unlike many auto service centers that rely heavily on upselling, Costco has little need to do so. Tire prices are competitive, but the real value lies in the lifetime services included: tire rotations, flat repairs, and nitrogen inflation, all covered. The third exception is executive membership, often viewed as a trap. However, if you spend consistently and exceed the break-even point, it is one of the few truly transparent cashback programs. If you don't reach the threshold, Costco refunds the difference at renewal. This is rare in mass-market retail. Costco is not a place where you walk in and automatically save. It is a tightly designed system built to guide spending behavior. If you shop on autopilot, it's easy to leave with a higher bill than expected. But when you understand what's happening behind Costco, regain control of your wallet. The real value isn't in memorizing tricks, but in knowing when Costco is serving you and when you are serving the system. Which part of the video surprised you the most? When stepping into Costco, many people believe that buying here automatically means saving money. The oversized carts, massive shelves, and prices that look cheap at first glance create a sense of reassurance so strong that questions are rarely asked. But that very feeling causes many shoppers, especially seniors living on fixed incomes, to lose money quietly. Costco isn't expensive, but it's designed to make you buy more than you actually need if you don't know where to focus. There are products that can save you hundreds, even thousands of dollars each year, and there are also items that quietly inflate your bill without you realizing it. This list helps you clearly see what delivers real value and what falls into familiar spending traps. So every time you push your cart to the checkout, you know whether you're saving money or paying for it. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. Kirkland coffee. For many people, coffee isn't a luxury, it's how the day begins. The problem is that coffee prices have quietly climbed. From coffee shops to small supermarket bags, the cost of one cup every morning can add up to a noticeable monthly expense without most people realizing it. Kirkland's signature takes a very different approach. Coffee is sold for real-world use large bags, consistent roasting, and a much lower cost per cup than the market average. Broken down, each cup costs just a few cents cheaper than a pack of gum. What surprises many shoppers is that the quality doesn't feel budget at all. The flavor is bold, yet balanced, not harsh or watery. There are options ranging from medium to dark roast, including decaf and organic varieties. Some lines are even roasted by major roasters that shoppers already recognize. The difference is that there's no flashy logo or aggressive marketing campaign attached. The real value is that Kirkland coffee lets you maintain a daily habit without financial pressure. You don't have to think twice about brewing an extra cup or cutting back to save money. One large bag lasts a long time, and when stored properly, the flavor stays consistent for weeks. The legendary item $4.99 rotisserie chicken. The $4.99 rotisserie chicken isn't a casual food purchase at Costco. It's one of the smartest financial decisions a shopper can make if used properly. At a time when food prices rise year after year, the fact that a nearly 3 to 3.5 lb chicken still sells for under $5 is something you'll hardly find at other grocery stores. The real value of this chicken isn't just its price, it's the time and effort it saves. For seniors standing in the kitchen for long periods handling raw meat and carefully monitoring cooking temperatures is no small task. The rotisserie chicken does the hardest part for you. You simply take it home, shred the meat, and use it across multiple meals. Eat it hot with vegetables, make chicken salad, or cook porridge soup or sandwiches. One chicken can easily stretch across 2 to 3 days, significantly reducing the need to cook constantly. More importantly, this is a product Costco knowingly sells at a loss. They keep the price low to draw shoppers into the store, but if you focus on items that truly deliver value like the rotisserie chicken, the advantage shifts in your favor. For those living on fixed incomes, having a protein-rich filling meal that's low cost and low effort isn't a small thing. It's a way to keep budgets stable without sacrificing meal quality. Kirkland vitamins and supplements. This is one of the most quiet yet consistent savings at Costco, especially for seniors who take supplements daily. At regular pharmacies, vitamins are sold in small bottles at high prices with per-pill costs that make many people hesitate every time they need to restock. Costco takes a completely different approach. Kirkland sells vitamins in quantities designed for long-term use. A bottle of vitamin D omega-3 or a multivitamin can last for months or even a full year. When you break the price down per pill, the difference compared to CVS or Walgreens can reach 50–70%. This isn't just about saving money, it reduces mental stress. You don't have to question whether you should take your vitamins daily or stretch doses to make them last longer. Some shoppers worry about quality when they see the lower price, but in reality, many Kirkland supplements are manufactured to the same standards and often in the same facilities as major brands. The difference is that Costco doesn't spend heavily on flashy advertising or elaborate packaging. You're paying for the ingredients, not the marketing story. For people living on fixed incomes, vitamins aren't something you can buy occasionally. They're tied to joint health, heart health, immunity, and daily energy. When supplement costs become reasonable, taking care of your health stops being a strain on the budget. Kirkland adult diapers. Kirkland adult diapers are one of those items that rarely get talked about. Yet they have a major impact on both daily comfort and long-term budgets for seniors. At traditional drugstores, similar products are usually sold in small packs at high prices with per-piece costs that force many people to ration their use. Costco approaches the need differently. It sells for real ongoing use, not for embarrassment. Kirkland's signature adult diapers are sold in large packs, which significantly lowers the cost per piece. When compared item by item, the price difference versus common drugstore brands can be substantial. But savings are only part of the story. What matters more is that the quality is reliable enough for everyday use, consistent absorbency, a soft feel, not overly bulky, and secure enough for users to feel confident when leaving the house. At Costco, adult diapers aren't treated as a sensitive product meant to justify higher prices. They're positioned for what they are, a necessity that's used regularly over the long term and needs to be dependable. When the per-unit cost is lower, users don't hesitate each time they need a change and don't feel forced to stretch usage. Kirkland Signature Hearing Aids. Kirkland's signature hearing aids are one of the clearest examples of how Costco doesn't just save money, it removes a major barrier from daily life for seniors. For many people, the issue isn't that they don't need hearing aids, but that the price feels too high to justify. At specialty hearing clinics, a pair can cost several $1,000s along with additional fees for testing, adjustments, batteries, and follow-up visits. At Costco, Kirkland hearing aids are priced far lower, yet still include hearing tests, consultations, fittings, and ongoing support right in-store. You don't have to travel between multiple locations or pay extra for each adjustment. More importantly, you get a generous trial period to truly see whether they work for you instead of being locked in after paying up front. The greatest value of hearing aids isn't found in technical specifications, it's in quality of life. Hearing more clearly means conversations are less exhausting. The TV doesn't have to be turned up so loud. Outings feel more comfortable, and the sense of isolation fades. For older adults, this isn't a luxury, it's connection. Like the video if this surprised you. Prescription glasses frames plus lenses at about half the market price. Prescription glasses at Costco are one of those expenses many people don't realize they've been overpaying for year after year. At traditional optical stores, the cost isn't just the frames and lenses, it's inflated by branding, retail overhead commissions, and a series of subtle upgrades that add up quickly. The result is a pair of glasses that can easily reach several $100s, even with a relatively simple prescription. Costco takes a more practical approach. Frames and lenses are priced clearly and straightforwardly, often at about half the typical market cost. You still have plenty of choices from basic styles to familiar brands, but without the pressure of you might as well upgrade since you're already here. Most of what's needed for everyday vision is already included in the base price. For seniors, the real value is practicality. Vision changes over time. Some people need frequent prescription updates. Others need an extra pair for reading or computer use. When replacing glasses no longer feels like a major hit to the budget, eye care becomes something you stay on top of instead of putting off. More importantly, many Costco locations offer on-site eye exams, saving time and reducing insurance paperwork. You can shop, get your eyes checked, and order glasses all in one visit. Kirkland olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil. In many supermarkets, healthier cooking oils are sold in small bottles with premium-looking labels and prices so high that shoppers end up using them sparingly. Costco takes a more practical approach. Kirkland Signature sells oils in sizes meant for long-term use, not for luxury appeal. Organic extra virgin olive oil comes in large bottles with a per-liter price far lower than many boutique brands, yet the quality is stable enough for everyday cooking. The flavor is balanced, not overpowering, good for both sautéing and salads instead of just sitting on a kitchen shelf. Kirkland coconut oil comes in a large jar that works for multiple purposes: cooking, baking, and even skin and hair care. When one product serves many functions and isn't marked up for packaging or image, its value grows over time, not from first impressions, but from repeated use. Avocado oil is where many people are most surprised. At specialty stores, avocado oil is often very expensive even as it becomes more widely used. Kirkland brings it down to a more accessible price while keeping its key advantages: a high smoke point, neutral flavor, and suitability for high-heat cooking. These three oils aren't exciting impulse buys, they're the foundation of everyday meals. When that foundation is affordable and consistently good eating, healthier becomes easier to sustain. And that ease, more than anything else, is the long-term benefit Costco provides. Organic Greek yogurt. At Costco, organic Greek yogurt is sold in large tubs with a thick texture and mild tang, not runny, and not reliant on added sugar to taste good. When priced per serving, it's significantly cheaper than single-serve cups at regular supermarkets, and it's far more comfortable to use. No rationing, no second-guessing every spoonful. The real strength of Greek yogurt is its versatility. It's not just a dessert. You can eat it with fruit in the morning, mix it with oats, use it as a sauce base instead of mayonnaise, substitute it for sour cream, or blend it into smoothies. The more ways a product can be used, the less likely it is to be wasted, especially important when buying in bulk. Quality is another reason people keep coming back. High protein helps keep you full longer. Probiotics support digestion, and the ingredient list is clean without excessive additives. This isn't something you eat just for fun, it's a product that helps balance everyday meals without switching to more expensive alternatives. Wild-caught salmon. Wild-caught salmon is one of the categories where Costco creates the clearest gap between shelf price and real value on the plate. At regular supermarkets, wild salmon is often treated as a special occasion item. Small cuts, high prices, and inconsistent quality from one purchase to the next. Shoppers hesitate even though they know it's an excellent source of protein and healthy fats. At Costco, wild-caught salmon is sold differently. The cuts are larger and more consistent, and the price per pound is noticeably lower than at many retail chains. More importantly, the quality is reliable, firm, fresh natural color, not mushy, not waterlogged. This allows shoppers to portion it themselves, freeze individual pieces, and use it gradually, rather than repeatedly buying small amounts of fresh fish at higher prices. It's also a natural source of omega-3s, supporting heart health, brain function, and joint health. When salmon becomes something you can buy regularly, instead of saving for special occasions overall, nutrition improves without requiring major changes elsewhere. Costco salmon is also easy to work with. Grill it, pan sear it, steam it, or bake it. Light seasoning is enough.